Welcome everybody to Generational Gains. This is a podcast that I do with my dad, Greg Herlean, and myself, Carson Herlean, where we talk all things money from our two perspectives, from two different generations, and we're here to solve your guys' money problems. Today, we got an interesting topic talking about partnerships. Before we get into that, we want to talk about where we've seen the economy going, what's been happening the last couple months. This far, we're about halfway into the year, actually exactly halfway through the year when this video is coming out. And there's a lot that's happened in the last 6 months and a lot we're looking forward to the next 6 months. But over the last 6 months and even now, there's a lot of things moving in the economy. What have you seen, just to get this podcast started off, what's a little market update for us?
Well, what I've seen is not much. I feel like it's timely and interesting because I feel like a year ago this time, we talked about the market and we said, hey, and not just us, like everyone's like, next year when rates go down to 3 or 4,
true,
the real estate would start moving quicker. And, you know, obviously it was no crystal ball. But it's interesting, and obviously that's not happened. Rates have pretty much stayed the same.
Yeah.
And real estate is not moving. There's
people also said the market's going to crash and the world's going to an apocalypse, and that never happened. They've been saying that for 2 years now.
Yep. And so, I mean, all that being said, I think there is blood in the water. I think that a lot of investors in real estate, in general, people are hurting if they were barely making it a year or two ago, like barely, not being, the fix and flips they're almost gone. You can buy and hold, but you can't.
It's true.
You can't really fix and flip with a margin.
Yeah.
And so that's just changed the market altogether. And so that's been, I think, an interesting thing to see. And I think people are, there's more debt. There's a lot more credit card debt. People have a lot more than they did a year ago. The market has slowed. People are feeling it. And I think in today's world and what we're going to talk about today, it is definitely applicable and maybe one of the options on how to survive in a market that's soft and or difficult. So that's what I've seen. I've seen a lot of friends that are struggling. I see a lot of friends that are just trying to make ends meet. And that's okay. That's part of, I've seen a couple of those markets in my lifetime.
Part of how it goes.
And it's why it's important to, do what you talk about, your methodology of having a rainy day account and funds, especially for those that are listening that are retired. Sure, the market's been good as far as the stock market goes. But, if you're in one of those places where you were depending upon certain monies and it's not performing, it's nice having your policies that you can dip into if you need to. So that's what I've seen. I don't know if you're in it more than I am as far as in the real estate world. I see thousands of clients investing in it, but from a personal perspective, I haven't seen it as much because of the couple assets that I've invested in the last few years. What are you seeing in the market since, in the last little bit, since you're more in the real estate market than me probably?
Yeah, I was talking to a hard money lender last week. It was at one of the biggest fix and flip funds. And I asked him about this, and he said the volume of loans has not changed.
That's interesting.
Which is really interesting. A little bit lower, but not significant.
But they're all probably...
But he said they're all much smaller, they're taking longer, more expensive, there's not as much profit, smaller margins, but people are still doing it. So that is an interesting thing to know. But what I've seen from the infinite banking standpoint and just life insurance, saving, capital management kind of conversations I'm having with people are tight on money for sure and finding ways to free up cash flow and pay things off more efficiently and save money more efficiently. And we were talking about it earlier, which we should talk about actually, and I think it goes well, is a lot of people are incorporating the velocity banking strategy, which is a concept of consolidating amortized loans with a simple interest line of credit. And that switch up of a loan allows you to control a loan better and pay off debts and pay off your larger loans in a more efficient and cost-friendly way.
You just brought up velocity banking. You need to explain that a little better because it took me a minute. So why don't you say that one more? Like, so what is velocity banking? By the way, it's a concept that a lot of my friends have been either doing or have been doing for years or looking into. It's an interesting concept and it's not for everyone, but do you want to explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so if you had a $2,000 a month mortgage and you had a $200,000 balance on that, you could be making that $2,000 a month mortgage payment for 30 years. If you did, you'll end up spending X amount in interest, whatever. It takes 30 years to do that. Very small portions of your payment go to the actual principal balance. It takes a long time to do it. You pay a lot of interest. And if you throw extra money at the mortgage, if I threw an extra $2,000 a month, because that's how much I could save, if I threw that extra money on the mortgage, it'd pay down the debt, it'd lower the time of how long I have to pay off that debt for, and it'd spend less interest, but that money's tied up in the house. And the only way I can access that money in the house, the equity, is through a HELOC. And so I could get a HELOC and use that money, but now I have a mortgage and a HELOC. And so there's another strategy in which you can essentially control your loan on the house better by, instead of paying extra on your mortgage with all your extra income every month or any windfalls of cash and paying down your mortgage, because then it's stuck in the house, right? A way where you can control that loan better is having just a HELOC. Having a one HELOC on your house that you pay off the mortgage with and any other debts you have. And now you have this one loan that you can put all your income and expenses onto, and it chunks it down much quicker. And you're not worried about throwing extra money at it because it's still technically liquid and available. Whereas if you chunk down your mortgage, it's not. It's stuck in the house unless you get a HELOC. So if we just start off the bat with a HELOC and refinance your mortgage into a HELOC, now everything's going in and out of your HELOC at all times, and it's being paid down way quicker because you can comfortably put money in there and not be worried about it. And if you ever need to access it, you can. And so it's a way a lot of people are finding ways to get more flexibility with their cash flow, have some extra money in savings because the HELOC kind of can be a savings vehicle. It's available to you. And so a lot of people who are tight budgets are using this strategy to pay off their debts and just save money in a different way that they can kind of have more flexibility for themselves and hopefully pay less interest at the end of the day. So easy, that makes sense?
Yeah. And so it's not, look, I've looked into this a lot. I'm not using this concept and I'm very interested. If you're listening to this and you have a low interest rate, now you can do the math. I mean, conveniently with AI now, this whole concept you can throw in into AI and see if it makes sense for you. Like, hey, look, I've got a $200,000 loan. I'm paying $2,000 a month, and over 30 years it's gonna be paid off. Instead, I get a $200,000 credit line, pay off the house, and use the credit line as your bank account. So now your $10,000 or $20,000, whatever you make per month, even if it's 10, goes in there, reduces obviously the debt or the interest you're paying, and you'll save in this example most likely somewhere between 8 to 15 years. Even up to 20 years, actually, depending upon how much money you make off your mortgage, just by using that as your bank account. So it's pretty incredible. But the math is you got to look at the interest rate, right? If you have a loan that's like 2, 3, 4%, it might not pencil. And so that's for you to figure out. And you can do some of what I'm talking about or what you're talking about, not all of it. I've got friends that have 10 properties or 20 properties, and they'll get 2 or 3 credit lines and they'll pay off with one credit line, 6 or 7 properties with the credit line, right? The credit line will then put the properties up as collateral, but do the same concept. All the rental income goes in there, expenses go out of there, and they have 2 or 3 credit lines. So this is done on a larger scale as well, not just a one-off. And so it's in today's world, as we talk about the economy and the market and the real estate market in particular, anything that you can do to save an extra 1,000 or 5 or 10,000 or 10 years on a mortgage is frankly a game changer. And I think that's, any little things you can do that are, not like get rich quick schemes, because that's not what this is. This is just a methodology that could work and apply to you. And so, look, maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't. It's probably worth looking into. It's not something that we sell or we do, but it's most likely something you would do and work with maybe your CPA and your bank that you work with. And so that's something I see in today's world. And the other thing that I've seen people do, I don't think I need to go deep into like the partnership stuff in general, but I do think partners, as far as like the do's and don'ts. Yeah. In today's world, another, I don't know if you want to call it a cheat or not, but one of the things that I did, I've been through a couple really rough markets besides the obvious of 2008 that beat me up. When I say markets, I guess maybe cycles for me personally, where I had to start from scratch or restart from scratch from a new partner, and partnerships potentially can be a win. And so if you're, I want to bring this up as well. I've seen a lot of people in the last year team up with other individuals. And we can talk about some of the do's and don'ts, but more importantly, there's people all around you that most likely are doing or in a similar place than you that you're in, but maybe more focus driven on the money or finding the deals. In today's marketplace, it might not be a bad idea to team up with other individuals, to kind of lean on each other to deal with maybe the harder times in today's marketplace. I've done this, by the way. So when I started from scratch, after a couple years, I wanted to scale and get bigger, but I didn't have all the expertise and the client base. And so I was able to partner with someone that had a big clientele base, but didn't want to do all the work. And so I was able to kind of come in and do the sweat equity, and they brought in some clients, and we were able to go out and scale the business and raise more money and do more deals. And so, look, partnerships aren't always a win. I've definitely had my fair share of really difficult partnerships and pros and cons to those. But, as we're talking about today's, if you're in the real estate market or in whatever market you might be in, you could be in insurance, you could be in roof sales or the trucking business. If you're feeling the pains and you're an entrepreneur, the pains of today's economy, there's ways to get out of it, or there's ways to soften the blow or to shoulder some of the stresses with someone else that might bring a strength to you that you might not be as strong. Like, for example, like I said before, I was really good at raising money, but I was finding the deals and raising money. But it wasn't as easy for me to find deals until partnering up with someone that was able to find good deals. So I could focus on the money, allowed me to scale, but just focus on what I was good at. And I made a lot more money than just trying to do all things real estate. So that's one thing that I've done, and I've continued to do. Partnerships, my whole career I've had partners. Sometimes I wish I didn't, but they're, sometimes a necessary evil. Yeah. And so, I don't know if you had some experience as well. I mean, I know you've had some partnership experience as well. Mm-hmm. Some of the pros, I don't know if you want to go over pros or cons, but I think it's worth sharing with individuals, some of your experience as well, of why a partnership could be helpful. Yeah.
Thank you for your experience too, because a lot of people just starting their business have like a friend they want to get into business with, or start something with just a parent or a sibling or a brother. And I know you've experienced family stuff, you've experienced friends, close friends, and you've been through all the ups and downs of all that. So your experience is definitely valuable, and the more you can share, the better. But for me, and having you as an example, I feel like I've been able to bounce ideas off you and learn from you too as I'm going through my different partnerships over time. And so I think having that's been helpful. So not even to mention, not even to talk about my experience, but just talking about having a mentor to help you with that. Like having someone who can show you, or you can talk about ideas with, and should ask them if you should partner with someone, or if you need help, where you should go to get help, or just guidance on how to manage your partnership if you have one. So I think having some sort of resource like that too is pretty awesome and helpful. And there's so much people on YouTube who give out education freely. Like Alex Herlean is awesome. I watch his content all the time. He will just interview business owners all day long and post all of it online for free. And business owners have questions that every business owner has: how to scale, how not to scale, how to break up, how to handle partnerships. And he's answering questions and explaining ideas, and all just free online. So there's also this kind of stuff, free everywhere you can get to learn. But it all comes down to you doing it, trying things, running a business, and taking things one step at a time. I often talk to people who say they are starting a business and they are like, yeah, it'll be up and running soon. I'm working on X, Y, and Z, and it never happens. And so that's a big thing. I think Alex Herlean always says this too, is like, you have to start. And I think what I heard the other day that I love was, he was just like, you have to work so hard, so many hours, and do so many things so that it's literally impossible for you to fail. And the only way to do that is by starting the first hour and grinding the first day, and then slowly compounding those effects to get you the result you want. But if you go so hard and work so much that no one can literally compete with you, there is no other option than to succeed. And if you fail, and then most people have their failures that hurt them, but then that helps them grow to the next phase. But if you're going so fast, working so hard, working so much, those failures come faster, so you can get past them faster and get to your success sooner. So just some good thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that for me personally. I feel like even though I'm super young, obviously, that I have lived a business life as though I'm probably in my 60s, because I've learned hard lessons quick. Because especially in my 20s, early 30s, I would run and then recorrect as there was problems or partnership problems or economy problems. That was my formula, right, wrong, or indifferent, and I wouldn't change that formula. There's other approaches, right? I can't tell you how many people are like have this great idea and great knowledge and experience, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna go out and buy real estate or whatever it is, start this business after I get my LLC and my website and hire people. And it's like, dude, why don't you go out and test it first? Like, it might be a little clunky, and obviously this doesn't work in all businesses. Like, there's certain businesses like the trust company where you have to have licenses and have to have all those things. But there's a lot of businesses where you don't need that. So it's like, go and do it, try it, test it. One other thing I was thinking about as you were talking was something that I was not very good at, and I've learned to listen better, is your spouse has a feeling about your partnerships and who you do business with. And so I encourage you to listen. As hard as it, because there's been over my career a couple times where I was like, no, babe, like this guy, he's great. He's good, blah, 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 blah. And then sure enough, later it's like a complete disaster and it becomes a divorce. And, she typically wouldn't say I told you so, but I was thinking it. Yeah. And so, have sound mentors or listen to your spouse or friends and kind of do your vetting as you get into these partnerships and you go to scale. So as much, I'm kind of almost talking in both sides here where it's like, just jump into it. There is some of that. And even with partners, like I before I get married, I like to date, in a partnership and see how it works and see if they're going to do what a lot of times you're all of a sudden in a partnership, you're 50-50 and like 3 months later, like, well, I'm doing all the work. Wait. And so, test some things out and see if, it's the right fit. And you can go into it eyes wide open saying, hey, let's see how this goes before we memorialize what our deal is. Yeah. So I've seen that as well. But I do believe in partnerships, not always, but in times like today, if you're struggling and there's little cheats, velocity banking, using your insurance policy, you unlocking and maybe borrowing against your 401k. I mean, use a few little tricks that are out there. Go scale your business, borrow money into your business to create a salary for you to live, to survive these next 6 months or 12 months. Little things that you can do that will move the needle and or help you survive the next 6 or 12 months. Yeah.
Yeah. Hope that was some good thoughts for you guys today. We're going to wrap up as you always do with our sweet, sour, and service. And if you guys don't know what that is, that's what we do around the dinner table with our family, where we go through a sweet, sour, and a service that we did today or this week. And I will go first. Let's do a fun sweet. This week's we got a USA World Cup game. We got 4th of July. That's perfect weather. It's America, right? We're full on America week this week. It's gonna be super fun. So that's a fun sweet this week, and being able to spend time with Anna and Wells, going to the beach and hanging out. It's gonna be a good week.
Yeah, I think my sweet this last week. I had two of them real quick. I got to be with Wells. Jess and I were able to have Wells for a couple hours, which was awesome. And also talking to Cole in Ecuador. He's ecstatic because the Ecuador beat Germany to make it into the World Cup next round, although they play Mexico tonight. Yeah. Going to be a little scary, although they beat Germany, so we'll see. But it is exciting to see Cole in living in Ecuador and going through, the World Cup in another country. It was kind of cool to see his excitement. So that was definitely one for me too.
That is cool. Well, we appreciate you guys. We'll see you on the next one. Have a good week.
Great.